Claire Bears, this is Miss Cissom. We are going to have a lesson on unfamiliar words. Do you ever have a hard time decoding what the word is or what it means? Today, our goal or objective is to clarify the meaning of unknown and multiple meaning words and phrases. I am going to help you learn a range of strategies using context clues to help decode what that word means. What does the word mean? Does it ever have you puzzled? Do you think, what is it? Well, using context clues, it will help you find the meaning of words. Context clues are hints that the author gives to help students derive the meaning of an unfamiliar word. Authors use definition or descriptions in the sentence to help the reader understand the unknown word. Or the author provides a definition or a description in another sentence. Let's look at an example of this. First, it says you may already be aware of cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, that are shown by the magnetic compass. What are cardinal directions? Using the clues around it, they tell us what cardinal directions are. They are north, south, east, and west. So the author placed the definition within the sentence. But the author can choose to give you an example in a later sentence to help you understand as well. Let's look at the second example. You will also find the 4 cardinal directions on a map with a math compass. A map compass is a symbol or a map that shows cardinal directions. Knowing the cardinal directions can help you understand where you are on Earth when you use a map. What is a map compass? Well, let's look at the sentence where I first see the bold-faced word. It says we find the 4 cardinal directions on a map with a map compass. Did it tell us what a map compass is? No, it told us what it has. Let's go to the next sentence to see if we can find out what it means. A map compass is a symbol on a map that shows the cardinal directions. So looking at the sentence below, we know that a map compass is a symbol that tells the 4 cardinal directions. Let's look at the example that we have here. First, they give us an example in an informational text for science. A bulldozer pushes soil, trees, stumps, and rocks ahead of its blades as it moves. Nature has its own bulldozers. They are called glaciers. A glacier is a huge mass of slow-moving ice that forms over land. Glaciers form in cold regions where more snow falls in winter than melts in summer. What is a glacier? Looking at that bold-faced word, what is a glacier? I'm going to look at the sentence where I see it in bold-face. It says they are called, so that doesn't tell me what a glacier is. So let's look before it and after it and see if we can find the sentence that tells what a glacier is. Have you found it? If you said that a glacier is the sentence that says a glacier is a huge mass of slow-moving ice that forms over land, you did an amazing job. Now let's look at an example that we might see in an informational text in history. People in the United States were concerned about Nebraska becoming a territory. Why? The main issue was slavery. Many people thought it was not right for white people to own black people and make them work in horrible conditions. They wanted the practice of slavery to end. So we have to find the answer to what is slavery. Let's look in this passage. We are going to look in the sentence before I see the bold-faced word. It says many people thought it was not right for white people to own black people and make them work in horrible conditions. So does it tell us what slavery is? If you said yes, you are correct. Slavery was when white people own black people and they make them work in horrible conditions. Now let's review what we have learned so far about using context clues. We know that context clues are hints that the author gives us to help us define the meaning of a difficult or an unusual word. They can use it through a definition or a description in a sentence. authors use the definition or a description in the text around the highlighted word to help the reader understand the unknown word. The author uses an example of illustrations to help the reader understand the unknown word. Let's practice. Can you complete these? Looking at this short passage, we see the word organism. Read this short passage to yourself. Once you have found your evidence of what an organism is, choose the correct answer from the 4 choices. Once you have made your choice, can you write the word organism in a sentence using what you have learned? Take a moment to try. Context clues can also have synonyms or antonyms within the passage to help us to understand unknown words. Authors may use synonym clues around a difficult word. Synonym clues mean the same or nearly the same as the targeted word. Or an author can use antonym clues. What are antonyms? Antonym clues mean the opposite of the targeted word. Let's look at some examples. Let's look at the first passage. The 2-inch long golden poison dart frog is one of the most toxic animals on earth. It has enough venom to kill 10 grown men. What does toxic mean? Let's look in the sentence and see if we can find what toxic means. It says 2-inch golden dart frog is one with toxic. That does not tell us what toxic means, but let's go to the sentence below. It has enough venom to kill 10 grown men. So toxic here lets me know that it is venom that kills 10 grown men. So toxic means it's deadly. It can kill. So that is a synonym. Let's look at the second example. The troops were ordered to advance south. They were frightened and instead turned back and went against orders. What does advance mean? Well, let's look in the sentence below advance. There is a clue that I can see there. It says they were frightened and instead turned back and went against orders. So they went back. So does advance mean to go back? If you said it is a synonym to go back, you are incorrect. But if you said it is an antonym, which means they are going to go forward, you did an excellent job. How do I know if a context clue is a synonym or an antonym when I read a paragraph? I have to think to myself, does a highlighted word have the same meaning as the other word? Or does a highlighted word have an opposite meaning of a word? I can look for key words to help me decode using context clues. If it is a synonym, I might see, for instance, for example, in other words. If it's an antonym, which means it's the opposite, I may see except, but, or however. Let's look at an example of synonym clues. Life on Earth has flourished and evolved for hundreds of millions of years. Plants and animal life have changed to adapt to the varying environmental conditions. What does evolved mean? Looking in the passage, what do you think evolved means? Can you find the clue? Looking at the second sentence, did you choose that it's changed to adapt to varying environmental conditions? If you did, excellent job. Because when something evolves, it adapts to environmental conditions, which is the synonym for evolved. Let's look at another example of an antonym. An antonym means the opposite. Look at this short passage. After the Revolutionary War, George Washington and others became angry at the way England was ruling its American colonies in 1776. The colonists declared their independence from the British. They no longer wanted to be ruled by the British. What does independence mean? Let's look at the sentence that has this bold-faced word. It says the colonists declared their independence from British. Okay, does it tell us what it means? Let's look at the next sentence. They no longer wanted to be ruled by British. So if you don't want to be ruled by someone, you want freedom. So here, independence means the opposite of being ruled, which means freedom. Let's review what we have learned about how context clues use synonyms and antonyms. Authors can use synonyms clues on difficult words. Synonym clues mean the same or nearly the same as the difficult word. Or they may use antonym clues. What are antonym clues? Antonym clues mean the opposite of the targeted word. Let's have practice. Let's see if you can figure out the clue in this short passage. In this passage, you are going to look at the word emblem. See if you can find the clues that help you decide what an emblem is, and then choose from the 4 choices. Take a moment and use that word emblem in a sentence as well. Context clues can also have cause and effect to help us determine what a word means. Authors can use cause and effect clues around a difficult word to help the reader understand the meaning of the word. The cause is why something happens. The effect is what happens as a result. Certain natural events are the result of condensation of water vapor in the atmosphere. After the water condenses, we see occurrences such as clouds, fog, and dew. Eventually, there is enough to create mist, rain, or other types of precipitation. What does condensation mean? Now let's look at clues in the passage. What could be the cause of condensation? Let's look at the first sentence. There is a clue. It says water vapor in the atmosphere. So the cause is I have water vapor in the atmosphere. So what happens as a result or the effect? The next sentence, it tells what happens. We see occurrences such as clouds, fogs, and dew. So condensation is when water gets in the atmosphere and it forms clouds, fogs, or dew. Let's look at one more example to understand what cause and effect is. As people moved to the U.S. started to get bigger. People were unable to move westward because the government made decisions to buy and win land. But as the time went on, things started to shift from what they used to be. This belief, labeled manifest destiny, was a reason for expansion and westward movement. So, what is the meaning of the word expansion? Let's go back to the passage. It says in the sentence where I see the bold-faced word, this belief labeled manifest destiny was the reason for the expansion and westward movement. It does not give me a clue on the cause and the effect. But let's look at the beginning of the passage. It said people started to move west. That is the cause. What is the effect or the result? The United States got bigger. So expansion means when the people were moving west, the United States was growing. Let's review what we have learned about using cause and effects with context clues. Cause and effect can be used by authors around difficult words to help them understand the meaning of these difficult words. Cause is why something happens. Effect is the result. So we know that when we use context clues, we can determine what the word means. Let's practice. You are going to be given the opportunity to look at 3 short examples where you can find the answers to specific words below. Please read these unfamiliar passages and words to yourself and choose the correct choice and use them in a sentence. To continue with our lesson today in Distant Learning Packet, in your reading, you are going to do Lesson 13 on unfamiliar words. You will practice some of the skills using context clues that we have gone over today. Also, in your extended learning package in social studies, you are going to be reading a few short passages and answering questions. First, you will read Slavery, Civil War, and Reconstruction, the Underground Railroad, the South, Slavery, Civil War, and Reconstruction, the Election of 1860, and Abraham Lincoln. You're going to read the Gettysburg Address. You will read Succession and the Civil War and America Divided. Have a good day learning, because today is the day to learn something new.